Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Breer, and welcome to episode 71 of the 11FS FinTech Insider Breakfast Show. In this show, we bring you the best and the brightest from around the fintech and banking landscape every single weekday straight into your homes at 8:30 BST, here, live, and on LinkedIn. Today is another one of our Spotlight series. So every week on The Breakfast Show, we'll be speaking to CEOs and founders of early stage fintech companies and up and coming startups with a focus on their business really working towards either closing financial inclusion gaps or working towards how their technology can actually help communities. And this morning, what we're going to be doing is talking to Loral and Eishel Quinn, who are the co-founders of Sustainably, which is a super interesting startup. I mean, I've spoken with Loral in the past, actually, on the FinTech Insider On Air show, and it's going to be really interesting to see how things have progressed and actually how they're getting on now in this lockdown period. So, good morning, ladies. How are you doing?
Hi, David. How are you? I'm just correcting you. It's Sustainably. You said sustainability.
But you got winning, right? So you win points.
Well, I mean, it's one of those ones where if I'm going to get something wrong, it's either going to be your names or the company's names. I'm not going to lie at this stage, but you'd think after 71 episodes I'd be getting better at this, but apparently not, right? So, good morning anyway. How are you guys doing?
We're great. Yeah, we're just in lockdown with 2 snoring dogs, so all is good.
Well, I mean, that is always an interesting challenge on a voice thing, isn't it? But if we get some disturbance in the background, I'm sure producer Tobias will let us know pretty quickly. Yeah. But for everybody watching this over on LinkedIn right now, as always, we love getting your questions. So if you've got any questions for us as we go through, drop them into the comments bar, and we'll just weave them into the conversation as we go. Okay, for anybody who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about what you guys are up to.
Yeah, Sustainably is a fintech for good. We just make it easy for you to give to good causes as part of everyday life. And we're really leading the transition towards sustainable positive impact for people, brands, and good causes. You simply connect your card, choose a cause, and then live your life. And we microdonate your spare change using open banking. We're building our B2B platform at the moment so brands can give to causes you care about instantly as well.
Fantastic. And I mean, I actually can hear your dog snoring in the background. That's the most adorable thing I've ever heard in my entire life. He's probably having really weird fintech dreams right now. He's not going to know what's going on later on. So that's a pretty amazing mission. I mean, where did that idea come from? Because obviously, it's one of these ones where, I mean, many people can have a good idea, but you guys have actually put this into execution and made this happen.
Well, I mean, it took a long time to actually execute. So we've been having this idea, this dream since 2016, I think.
So I guess it came from Eishel was working in ethical retail. I was working in an investment role. I was actually head of digital strategy and insight, and I was advising the board on digital transformation across the entire business. So I was doing a research role. So I was looking at tech we could bring into every single part of the business to help solve problems that we had. And at the time, I was really inspired by things I was seeing in fintech and in wider tech, and had this idea sort of bubbling in the background. Eishel was making our home eco, ethical, like sustainable and all that kind of stuff. And just Post-its became all over the kitchen wall. And this idea for Sustainably came, which was like a cross between like Tom's shoes. When you buy something, you do something good. Acorns investing. So at the time, you can still now round up your spare change to your investment portfolio. But I thought, what about if we can do this for good causes? And then Pokemon Go, where it's gamified. So there was kind of loads of outside influences, but Eishel was really a massive driver for that, kind of with the sort of ethical side. And then she did all the initial designs and wireframes for the first product. So yeah, kind of evolved like that.
Well, and as you say, with something like Tom's Shoes, it is a purpose-driven, value-driven organization. I mean, what's the sort of values and the sort of core values behind the brands that you've set up?
Yeah, so for us, it's all about effortless experiences, sustainable impact, and then about inclusivity, accessibility, and transparency. So really making things really super simple, frictionless, transparent, and all about sustainable and effortless impact.
I think it's about making it part of your everyday life, so you're not feeling that kind of friction.
Yeah.
I don't really think that the the existing platforms that are out there for people to give in particular really kind of have managed to fit into that space yet. So there's quite kind of a gap, a generational gap, as well in the types of giving and who those people are. Are maybe a slightly older demographic. So we're just trying to kind of open this up to be inclusive of all, so that you can have an impact without, you know, having to set up a direct debit and without being able to give a lot, but you can actually give a little bit each day and have a massive impact together collectively.
And actually, if you look at trends in terms of what's happening with payment automation, like Uber and Spotify, like subscription models, that's what people want, and they want to be able to give on their own terms with privacy, transparency, and control. So we're kind of really plugging that gap. And actually, interestingly, Gen Z and millennials actually give the most to charities. There's 11 million of them now, and they're actually giving 2.7 billion a year to just under 6 good causes. So that's actually more than the other generations. So kind of building tech that actually works for them as early adopters and then kind of moves into the other generations is kind of what our plan is.
And I think one of our biggest focus that we're going to have coming up is about how we relay that impact back, because at the moment when somebody gives on Sustainably, they get an impact story from the charity, but the charity doesn't know who that individual donor is because they get to give with their privacy. So we want to kind of really hone in on that data and figure out how we can kind of let that individual know what their impact has been on a deeper level. We feel that by kind of closing that loop, people will want to give more because it'll inspire that kind of do good, feel good feeling.
It's just that endorphin boost when you know that you've actually had a tangible impact. With other platforms, it's more difficult. Kind of, you might be waiting for a quarterly newsletter, you may not even get any impact reporting back. So we're really closing that gap.
No, it's really interesting. Like you say, it's that immediacy of the impact that you're having, and as you say, actually, you know, increasingly younger and younger people, when they're making transactions, when they're doing, you know, their day-to-day lives, they're very conscious of actually the impact that they're having. So if they can be going about their day-to-day lives and having impact, as you say, then that's ideal.
They absolutely do care about where they work and where they shop. So kind of we very much feed into that ecosystem, and that's really why we're creating our B2B platform as well.
Well, I mean, this sounds like a great idea. Clearly, you think it's a good idea, but you're not the only ones, right? At the end of 2019, you guys were named by Richard Branson as Startup of the Year. So, you know, that's a pretty big endorsement that actually sort of came with it. I mean, how did that change the dynamic of what you were doing? Because I imagine a huge amount of interest must have come off the back of that.
I think having support from an entrepreneur like Richard Branson is just really given us such credibility. And it's obviously a huge endorsement. We've had a bit of an ongoing relationship with Virgin and Richard Branson and Holly Branson as well. I actually got flown out to LA to get some mentoring from Richard last year. We won Top 10 Virgin Startup kind of before that as well. So they've been super great and kind of telling our story, obviously encouraging more good causes to sign up and more end users. So we continue to have a really great relationship with them because he really loves what we're doing. Like it's all for him about that sort of frictionless impact as well.
That's all amazing. I mean, obviously, you guys are a mother-daughter duo. I mean, that must be an interesting dynamic in like everyday life, in normal life, but in lockdown period of time, you guys work together, you're related to each other. Like, where's your escape from work right now? Like, and how does that dynamic sort of really work?
It's interesting. My mum's actually living with us as well, so there's like 3 kids in the house, so nobody's got killed yet. So we're good. I mean, I think with Eishel and I, we have this.
It's like a different relationship. I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't know what other people's relationships with their mum are like, but it's quite different.
I think for us, I think that Eishel's my mum. Like, she's always kind of telling me off for doing stuff and things like that. So we don't have a traditional mother-daughter relationship. We're pretty open and honest. We get stuff done quickly. We've got really different skill set. I think it's knowing when to switch off. So there might be an expletive, like, go away type. or like, stop doing that, kind of. But we're pretty honest.
It's
so
very
we can say,
direct.
it's really direct when to turn off. Like, I'm not speaking about work right now, go away, basically. And sometimes it's nice and sometimes it's not so nice.
Like when I'm sleeping and she just opens my door and just starts talking to me about work. And I'm like, what?
Boundaries between family members is never clear, is it?
Exactly. So I just, from one room to the other, Slack her. So
we actually do Slack each other, and then sometimes we are not in the same room as each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting as well, isn't it? Because there's something really great about that, because I mean, as much as founders can be really, really close friends, there can be something that completely can break them apart. I mean, you guys are related. Like, whatever happens from a business perspective, you guys are going to resolve those conflicts, or there is some. I mean, it's kind of in the name, right? You are going to make this a sustainable thing from all angles in terms of actually what you're doing, which is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think with us, you're right. Like we can have like a fight, if you would call it that. It's not even a fight, and it doesn't even mean anything really, because it's like she's the only person in the world that I will never. There's not going to be. I can't get rid of her. So yeah.
Well, particularly in lockdown as well, you can't actually go anywhere, can you? But I mean, how has things sort of changed for you guys since the pandemic has sort of broken out? Then, obviously, I mean, this is something that's having such a global impact. But how has it sort of affected your working lives?
Yeah, well, I think really from the perspective of Sustainably, we've removed all the fees for onboarding for charities, which obviously because we wanted to help more charities when there is no fundraising events, and obviously with cashless transactions, that's going to happen regardless of whether there's events. So we did that kind of really as our contribution to kind of what's happening, and a lot of the workers at charities have been furloughed, and all of the charity shops closed and all that stuff. As a team, we're getting through a lot of work. We're great at remote working. We've always had that as a policy that you can work from home, so that's kind of not really changed. I think that's kind of the main things, but yeah, we're moving forward, doing everything that we were going to do, and just
we're actually hiring remotely as well now, which has been interesting because it's kind of opened our eyes up to a wider kind of group that we could be hiring from. So we're just actually hiring an intern who's based in Singapore at the moment. So yeah, it doesn't. I actually think that there's been a lot of benefits to it in terms of, for us personally, being able to get a lot of stuff done. To have the dogs with us all the time and not be worried about them. How long have they been in the house? Do I need to go home and let them out for a pee? That kind of thing. So
there's obviously there's a lot of negative things happening out there, but there's so many positives as well. For example, like all the meetings that we're able to take in a day. At the moment, we're working with a big corporate on our B2B platform, and we're just doing all of that remotely. I mean, it's amazing. All this stuff, you just wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel like it's really sort of opened people's eyes, as you say, to, actually, do I really need to get on that train for 3 hours to go and have a 20-minute meeting? It's or flying the other side of the world to do things. Actually, you're perversely more connected to people than ever before, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I
mean,
think
you were like breaking yourself going to London.
I know, it's a lot. And
once a week.
And yeah, it is a lot when you think about all the sort of climate change impact of all that commuting as well. So, there is going to be smarter ways to do things. And of course, it's great. I mean, obviously, you and I, David, have met in person. It's brilliant to meet people in person, but there's so much more we could do if we just opened our minds to kind of having a lot more stuff being done remotely, which this pandemic has really done.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even as startup founders, even creating a bit more life to the work as well. That work-life balance, I think, for a lot of people is getting a little bit more equilibrium. And it doesn't necessarily mean working less, but I mean, like say, if you're not traveling for 3 hours to get down to London, then actually you can put more life into those hours, can't you? Which is a great thing. Have you found, obviously, in this period, as you say, then I mean, cash obviously is not being used as much, but are you guys seeing an uptick in donations then based on people using more digital mechanisms?
Yeah, we definitely have a group of users that are like giving every few days, so that kind of hasn't changed. There's been obviously changes in what people are buying. They're not obviously going out for drinks and restaurants and things like that, but obviously lots more things on Amazon and gaming and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think just the types of things that are being bought, and I think, that sort of segment that are buying a lot of stuff on Amazon and other things as well. So yeah. It's there hasn't been really significantly drop off on donations. So yeah, I think people are still wanting to do good.
Yeah, for us it's been kind of steady. It's not.
Yeah.
We've not seen a massive increase, decrease either way.
Yeah.
But it feels like I mean, coming out the other end of this, it feels like digital payments will continue to increase, and cash payments will probably, people have realized now that they don't need to carry cash, they don't need to use cash. So that's only a good thing from your product's perspective, right? Because more and more people will be in that system.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And obviously the sort of connectivity at the minute, we're connected to 14 UK banks, and we're actually adding more and more. So, the majority of the UK population can use Sustainably at the moment. So yeah, it's just, anything that removes all that friction is kind of what we're trying to do.
Fantastic. I mean, for people watching this now who sort of are interested in signing up, what banks have you got access to then? And anybody with these 14 banks, you'd be crazy to not sign up to this. So what are the 14?
We have all of the
CMA9.
Yeah, CMA9, and then we've got the challengers on there as well. We just added TSB this week.
So Monzo, Starling, Bank of Scotland, NatWest, RBS, First Direct, Santander, HSBC. The list goes on and on.
Fantastic. And what do people have to do to sign up then? So I'm sure, I'm sure anybody listening to this, like you guys doing good while you're making transactions in the way in which you would do normally, giving to charity, like people, why would people not do this? So where can people kind of sign up if they want to?
So you can go to our website. It's sustainably.co. We have 2 apps now. We're in the App Store and Google Play. There is 2 ways that you can give at the moment, which is roundups that we spoke about. It's the open banking connection. You connect your bank and then we round up your spare change and give it to your chosen cause. And the other one is monthly happiness, where it's like a direct debit, but it's way better because you can pause it, you can change the cause, change the amount, and you're never going to get kind of hassled to give anymore. And you can track all your impact. Yeah, so you're getting those impact stories every time you give, which you can see on the app as well. And it's just really easy to manage all of your giving, and because you can add gift aid easily and switch off and just kind of pause your giving instantly, we're trying to kind of add in more frictionless ways to give, to kind of be the kind of ultimate place in which you're managing all your giving.
Fantastic. And what causes are you supporting at the moment? Because obviously, I mean, you work with lots of different charities, and obviously people can choose where they're going. But what causes do you support?
So there's going to be 30 on the platform today. We're just adding in another one, but there's a range from like homelessness, animal welfare, poverty, health, education, children, and environmental. But we're really kind of growing that at the moment. So you can actually, if you want, you can actually suggest a cause on Sustainably as well. And we'll reach out to them and try to get them added.
Fantastic. And I guess, how are you measuring that impact? Because obviously, collectively, if you're seeing lots of transactions going through and different people, you can really, I mean, it's a great thing to almost measure sentiment, isn't it? In terms of how much people are doing for other people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're actually working on our own data algorithms and to kind of measure impact at the moment. So at the moment, as I mentioned, you get impact stories. We're also for charities, we give them lots of detailed impact reports, and also for the corporates that we work with, they'll also get these really interesting, engaging impact reports that show the impact of them as a brand and their wider community.
Anonymized.
Anonymized. And then for charities, they also get different sets of data that shows the consumer shopping trends, anonymized again, to help them unlock new corporate partnerships that have a real synergy with their individual brand. And what we're aiming to get to is that we can align all the impact with sustainable development goals, so you can actually really as a business see in detail kind of what impact you've had towards any of those, but as an individual as well. So yeah, there's loads of value in the data in terms of helping people understand their impact as well.
Fantastic. Yeah. And there's a question over on LinkedIn from Simon Schofield. So fantastic idea and great to see a family running fintech. What do you see as the future direction for the platform? Do you see more involvement from corporates or businesses? I think there's sort of potential here that you're talking about doing B2B as well. Is that right?
It's a B2B B2B2C really. So it's a real ecosystem product with
and this has kind of been the vision from day one, is that we almost have these three platforms. There is the app, but then there's these two separate platforms that together they kind of work as an ecosystem. And one piece of the puzzle is our B2B platform, which we're currently kind of working towards our pilot for. But yeah, I guess we do see the direction towards getting businesses involved who are both employer and retailer businesses who want to give to what their customers and employees care about.
And that again is all about removing all the friction and pain from that and enabling that instant connection that's hyper localized and hyper personalized. So it's about doing something together, and that at this moment in time is a really, really important thing. And, you know, for the retailer side, there's no technical integrations required because it all just works off the transaction data. So this is part of the master plan that Eishel and I have been cooking up for a while, and it's now kind of actually happening with some of these big corporates. So yeah, so watch this space, but sign up all your charities that request all your charities, send it to your trustees. If you know any people that are trustees at charities, we want to support as many as possible. And then every business intro that, you know, we can get that for corporates that want to actually do good in more meaningful ways and connect with their employees and customers in a way that actually does resonate with them. We're open to those conversations now. Don't miss out.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, there's a comment over on LinkedIn from Deval Gore, who's actually from London and Partners, saying this is such a great initiative, guys. Well done. Also, if you have a London presence, it'd be great to get you into our Mayor of London scale-up program. So if you jump on the comments after this, talk to Deval. I'm sure he can sort that one out. But great program, and I'm sure it'll connect you to lots of different dots that'll be helpful as well. I mean, obviously 2020 has been a bit of a weird year, but what is it? 1st of July today, isn't it? So what does the second half of 2020 look like for you guys?
Yeah, so for us, it's about launching our B2B platform, growing our customer base, adding more functionality into the app, which obviously feeds into our B2B as well, supporting more great causes and really just blasting it from an impact perspective, really trying to kind of create as much impact as possible, and growing the team. Just lots of things. So yeah, really positive.
It's exciting, really exciting. And I mean, your passion for this and like your excitement in it is there, and that's fantastic. I think every entrepreneur has to have that to, you know, get out of bed and do this stuff every day, isn't it? But I mean, particularly, I guess, you know, female founded fintechs in this space is quite rare. So I mean, you guys have just got on with this and made it happen. You know, like, you've seen a gap in the market, you've got into it, you've made it happen. Like, what would be your advice, I think, for other people looking to start a business?
I mean, I think we've like fought for it, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you just have
happen.
to be, obviously you have to be scrappy, but
you have to be like resilient
and resilient, but you also have to be really strategic. So really getting connected to the right networks, get visibility. Obviously there's loads of really great networks now, Accelerate Her, lots and lots of things that you can kind of be part of those types of communities, stuff relating to fintech as well for female founders.
And then say when it comes to funding in particular, like think outside the box, you know, like don't just try all of the traditional methods. The way that we first were able to get our first beta with Monzo was by getting a Virgin startup loan. So, you know, we did what we had to do to make it a reality.
Yeah,
I think that's almost entrepreneur 101, isn't it? It's like you do what you have to do. It's like you kind of figure out the things to make it happen, and every day there's a new challenge, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like everything. I mean, you have to surround yourself with great people if you want great things to happen. So, you know, that's your focus. Get surrounded by great people, because you can't do anything on your own.
Well, and there's no greater person to surround yourself with than your family members, right? So I really think there is something in that. I do honestly believe that you guys would be able to have tougher, more honest conversations than anybody would be able to, you know, given the closeness, given your relationship. So I'm sure that's a big secret to your success, you know.
Yeah, definitely honest to the.
And I guess, you know, particularly in those early stages, you know, where you're looking at like say funding or ideas, or I mean, do you think the trick there is it's just really being really open to feedback and comments and suggestions? And I mean, how would you offer advice for people to kind of replicate that? Or clearly not live with each other for 20 years, right?
Yeah, you can't really give birth to your co-founder.
It feels like that sometimes, doesn't it?
A short-term plan, David.
Well, that's a long-term plan.
Yeah, that's not a short-term plan. I think it comes to kind of getting that team around you, really to get those first investors. You have to have a product that has some sort of interest and validation. When we launched our beta, we took it to Finovate in New York, and we won Best of Show there. That then kind of enabled us to get our first investor. So it's kind of really just thinking about, it's like a game. I always see it like where if you get to step 1, you can get to step 2, and then if you get to step 2, you can get to step 3. So, you know, like you have to kind of take it in, you know, getting visibility and PR, and then maybe an award, get an investor, get further traction, get another investor, and kind of take it from there. But it can be a long game, but if you have a real mission and a vision and passion to do it, and you're definitely making progress towards it, you've validated your idea and you know that there's a customer demand for it, then there's no reason not to continue with it if you can kind of, if you have that resilience and runway, and you know.
And the team that you build as well, there needs to be that open and honestness, that they know that they can say it, you know, they can express, you know, anything that they want to, which I think we have created.
We have a really great team where they can really, I mean, honestly, sometimes I just get completely like, no, we're not doing that, and I'm like, okay, because you know, if the CEO knows best, that's not going to be the best sort of company culture either. So I'm quite happy to be challenged, and it's all open and everyone.
Sometimes I get annoyed because in the team meetings she barely says anything, and meanwhile like everyone else is like planning out all of the OKRs and everything, and I'm like, hello, and she's like, well, I'm not you know, the one that knows it all.
I mean, for me, that's good leadership. It's you know, communication isn't talking, it's listening predominantly, and I think that's a massive part in leadership in that sense. But do you know what, I say the exact same thing as well, is every point of success that you have when you're growing a business just unlocks the next level of things that you need to kind of look at, and actually sometimes that's quite a reflective success is almost quite a reflective period, isn't it? Because you have to take that deep breath and go again for the next level. But it's fantastic to see you guys being so successful in this, though. Well done with everything that you've been doing. You know, I'm sure long may it last in terms of the success on it. So for anybody who wants to know a little bit more about Sustainably, then where can they find out more?
The website is sustainably.co or @sustainably on social media. Oh, and David, one other thing, if there's any banks out there that want to do something good, obviously we're connected to loads. You can see the big list of them on our website, but we'd love to do kind of a campaign that can help support charities with some of those banks. So shout out to any banks on our connected list to kind of help good causes during this, pandemic.
Fantastic. Well, lots of good questions over on LinkedIn that we don't have time for, unfortunately, because we run out of time. But jump on LinkedIn, check them out. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who want to get involved and want to connect with you guys and help in any way that they can. But and sadly, that's all the time that we have for today. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be a busy week this week for everybody else as well. So while it's all we have for you today, tomorrow I've got the CEO of DNB Bank over in the Nordic region. Amazing leader doing some really, really interesting things. So it's going to be fantastic to see what she has to say tomorrow. But as I say, that's all we have for you today, I'm afraid. We will, though, see you at the same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Goodbye.